Hello, everyone. Good morning to those of you. Good afternoon and good evening. It's a pleasure to be here with you all this afternoon here in South Bend. My name is Maria Setzmani Marquez, and I serve as the Director of Graduate Admissions here at Mendoza College of Business at our fine institution, Our Lady of Notre Dame. And so thank you so much for joining. We have the time that we have today is really precious. We only have about 30 minutes together, and I want to really make sure that you're able to hear from our panelists and students online. So we have a quick overview that I can share with you. We want you to meet who your admissions team is and those people who will be advocating you throughout the admissions process. We'll have you meet the LGBTQ and Allies Club leaders. And then we'll set aside the bulk of our time for question and answers. And of course, we'll tell you all about admissions deadlines. So just to kick off, I introduced myself, but I work with an amazing group of individuals who on a daily basis do their very best to connect wholeheartedly with our candidates coming in. And so I would like to first, we'll start with Cassie Smith, who leads the MBA admissions team. Cassie, you want to come off of mute and say hello?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. Excited to meet all of you amidst a beautiful day here in South Bend and also our deadline day, November 1st. So thank you all for being here, and I'll pass to my colleague, Phil.
Hi, everyone. Phil Drendel. Happy to be here. Thank you again so much for joining us wherever you are around the country and around the world. Absolutely thrilled to be joined also by our amazing current students and the rest of my team.
Thank you, Phil. And how about for you, Annette?
Hi, Annette Tisfer, lead admissions specialist for the MBA program. And really happy that you all are here today. Thankful for your time. Thanks.
Thank you, Annette. And last but not least is Rebecca.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Excited to get to know all of you and let you hear from our amazing panel today.
Thank you. And we would be remiss not to mention Amy Dame, who, if you have embarked on your application and admissions journey, you would likely have heard from her. She is the one who is carefully putting together your application for the admissions committee. So thank you all for being here, and thank you, team, for being present as well. So we have an exciting opportunity to meet some of our leaders here on campus when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and specifically our LGBTQIA community. So we are very happy to introduce to you Nick Yannick, Katie Thor, and Christopher Hillock. And so what I'll do is, Nick, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit more about who you are and what your role is within the organization, and then we'll move on to Katie and then to Christopher.
Yeah, perfect. Hey, everybody, I'm Nick Yannick, and I'm a part of our 2-year MBA class graduating in May. My hometown is, well, a little bit of both, Bettendorf, Iowa, but also Milton, Georgia, right outside of Atlanta. And in our MBA program, I'm majoring in strategy and business leadership. So this summer, I was really fortunate to be back in Atlanta with Emory Healthcare and their process improvement area. Ultimately, though, why I chose Notre Dame was because of the community here, and it's super close-knit, which I think is shown through our alumni, which really starts from just while you're here in your cohort. And the strength of that just makes me really proud to be here, and seeing the acceptance and the inclusivity of everybody is amazing. So that's kind of the gist of the long-winded quote there, but really love our commitment to, all the people within the cohort.
Thank you so much. And I just want to give a bit of a shout out to you for taking on leadership and continuing to grow the club itself, and really just your presence and spirit within the community is really such a highlight, I think. I don't know, for me from an administrative point of view, but just to see how successful the organization is growing has been really wonderful too. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. And next up is Katie.
Hi, so I'm Katie Thor. I am also part of the 2-year MBA class of 2023. I'm from Jefferson, North Carolina, a small mountain community in the Appalachian Mountains. I spent most of my adult life in Chapel Hill, though. This summer, I worked for the Ford Motor Company. I was in a strategy and planning role with the electric vehicle team, and I'm very fortunate to be coming back going back there after the school year ends. I'm majoring in strategy and marketing, and as I was telling the team before the call, I'm currently in Silicon Valley doing the Model Way program. So there's two options that I'm sure you guys have heard of to do Model Way in Silicon Valley or Chile, but I'm currently in Silicon Valley. And then why I chose Notre Dame, as most of you have been going through talking to other schools, like you hear people say, oh, it's a family, oh, it's this. At Notre Dame, everyone makes you feel like you're actually part of a family. Like it is contagious to know that your friends, your staff, and faculty are there looking out for you and making sure that your experience is the best it can be, since it is such a short time here in such a wonderful place.
Oh, thank you so much, Katie. And again, thank you for all of your leadership with the club. I am so impressed with the work that's been going on and the communications that are going out. And I think there's even a happy hour happening at some point this week. Is that true?
Yeah, Nick can talk more about that. He has the details since I'm away.
That's tomorrow, which we're really excited about, with both the graduate school and their student leadership government group, and then the LGBTQ plus group of the law school. So doing kind of a cross campus event where it's a panel for the first hour about our experience at Notre Dame. And then the second hour is kind of the social happy hour side of it, with some food and all that good stuff. So we're excited to bring everybody together across campus. Yeah.
It's wonderful. I like the integration that's happening, and hopefully we'll be able to hear more of that through the session as well. And last but not least is Christopher Hillick, who is the advisor and leads the LGBTQIA and Allies Club, as well as has a different appointment here at the university and at Mendoza College of Business too. Christopher.
Hey, thanks, Maria, and thank you everyone for joining us today. It's so great to see so many on this call. My name is Christopher. I get to serve as the advisor for this club, which really means I get to work with Nick and Katie and just kind of support them as they lead the club as president and executive VP. They're doing amazing work, as Maria said. They came on board with us last year and really started stepping up. I would say more so towards the in the spring semester of last year to kind of start to transition from one president to the next. And they led us through a great time of fundraising for our club. We were actually the #1 club as far as fundraising goes for Notre Dame Day. And so a lot of great momentum is happening, which we're really, really excited about. And a lot of this goes to the work that Nick and Katie are doing. So welcome. And if I can be of any resource to you, I'm happy to be that for you.
Thank you so much. And Christopher, thank you so much for stepping in to really support this club. And maybe we can talk a little bit about the history and where you're at to date. Sorry, I didn't mean to go back to that slide, but yeah, this is a great time for us to talk about questions that you have as participants. My first question is can you tell us about the evolution of the club itself? I think that would be really important, and we can go from there.
Yes, I can. I'll kick us off with a little bit of the history of where we started. And also Christopher and Katie, if you guys have stuff to add, definitely jump in. Because I feel like we all know all the different pieces of it. But we started in 2017. So now we're in 5 years, almost going into 6 years of being around at Mendoza. And we really started to pick up, like everyone's been mentioning, momentum in the last year, which was really exciting. Our former president, Malachi, he did a great job at kind of revamping everything that our club stood for and really tying it in to both the university's mission, but also, being very progressive. And, he really tied it back to tender, strong, and true. So that's kind of where our roots started, because that's one of the big sayings of Mendoza. And so our 3 big pillars are heal with tenderness, unify for strength, and enlighten with truth. And so we kind of play off those 3 words there, because ultimately we, hope to kind of, bring the community together and reconcile some of the history there, as well as unifying with other diversity groups, because it's a very intersectional kind of diversity or identity, as you can be LGBTQ plus and so many other identities. And then enlightening the truth and really educating on, the history of the community, as well as the realities of what we face being part of the community, and trying to go from there. So that's where we kind of fit in those 3 pillars. And Katie, I don't know if you want to add, and Christopher.
Yeah, I can add on too. And back to Christopher's fundraising point, we really did have the community step up for us last semester to be able to support us and do some awesome events this year. We were able to send a student to Ramba this year so that they have an extra way to go to a conference specifically for people of that identity. Nick and I had great leadership conference in the fall with that conference as well, as a way to meet with other students from different MBA programs to see what their communities are also doing. And then two, I think to go on the evolution part, I think last year was a lot of education that happened in our meetings. And this year, our meetings are really about creating a safe space for everyone in the community and people who want to be allies to learn and just commune on a monthly basis and have a good time. So like things that we have coming up, we're looking forward to the collaborative event with the law school, as Nick mentioned. We have a big Friendsgiving that we really like doing. And then last year, one of our big hallmark events was diversity in consulting. But this year we're going to open it up to the workplace and just try to find more intersectionality between that, so that there is a way to see yourself not only here at Mendoza, but also when you leave Mendoza. What does being a certain identity look like in consulting, in healthcare, in a motor company?
Yeah, especially like a traditional motor company like Ford too, right? Where we think about cultures and values that were established in the 50s or beyond, right? Katie, can you tell us more about what RAMBA stands for and what that is for those who may not know?
Oh my goodness. I actually don't know what it necessarily. I'll have to look it up really quickly. I'm so sorry.
Nick, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, so it stands for Reaching Out MBA. And so yeah, if anyone on here has heard of like the Forte Fellowship or the Consortium and things like that, but it's essentially the LGBTQ plus communities MBA, like nationwide kind of organization. So they really focus on that leadership development and professional development or personal development, and just kind of bringing all the different LGBTQ plus orgs across the US together from all the business schools. Katie, I don't know if you want to talk about kind of the leadership summit or anything else like with RAMBA specifically, but that's kind of the basis of it.
Yeah, no, thank you. I completely blanked on the acronym, and you're right. I should always say acronyms.
No, it's okay.
But the leadership summit that Nick and I went to in Chicago last spring was a really great opportunity to learn what other challenges that other MBA programs are facing, how they're overcoming them, and then how we can connect with one another to be able to support each other. So we had really great panels on advocacy, how you can advocate for your program or for your different initiatives, how to engage with a greater population, and then to how to connect. I think sometimes we all get lost in not knowing that connection piece. So it's a really great way for Nick and I to be trained as leaders and then to be able to share it with our greater community.
That's wonderful. Yeah, those organizations are so critical and vital. It's like having, I think for employees here, and Christopher Hill can speak to that a bit, when we have employee resource groups, right? Having your affinity groups that are able to advocate and educate. And then also really, I like the word that you use, Katie, about commune, right? Get together and really enjoy each other's company as well. And so the other thing, Nick, that you mentioned was something like the tender, strong, and true. And so can you talk a little bit more about that model just generally as a part of the MBA program?
Yeah, so I think Notre Dame, is really unique in that we're so value and ethics kind of driven in our business. And with our motto, grow the good in business specifically even. But tender, strong, and true is kind of the saying that's even within, our university's whole like overall kind of saying and their motto and all their different policies and things like that, where we really try to be, tender in that we have that empathy. We really understand the people that we work with, the people we work for, things like that. We're strong leaders in the sense that, we're willing to stand up for what we believe in and, stand up for what's right. And then true. So, we're very, authentic and have that integrity, and stay true to ourselves. And so, we want to transfer that into the club as well with our own values, because it's such a pinnacle point within the university. Which is where we really kind of start to play out those words with heal with tenderness, unify for strength, enlighten with truth, and things like that, to really, bring more exposure to our club, as well as, bring our clubs together, not only within Mendoza, but then bring the clubs together across the university, and really branch that out. And so that's where, I think that all kind of stems from.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I think it's so unique to our community and to our MBA program. But of course, that model for leadership is what we offer here at Mendoza across all programs. So it's really foundational for us. And Christopher, what is I'm curious from like a advisory perspective. You've been here for a number of years to see the club evolve. What are you most proud of to date, as in working as an advisor for this organization?
Yeah, I think a lot of the momentum that the club has built, over the last year, I'm really excited about. We've had a lot more engagement, with students participating. So I think something that's important to highlight is this club is not just for people who identify as gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, et cetera. It's for allies as well. And so even when you look at our leadership team, we have someone who is part of the LGBTQ community and someone who's a very strong ally for us. And so it's all part of that community of belonging and welcoming that we're trying to, really encourage, here at Mendoza. And I think we're just seeing that grow, exponentially, this last year. I think it's been really exciting for me personally has been the number of, because we have a lot of international students on our call, the number of international students who have joined our club as well. And being able to learn from them kind of with experiences, the LGBTQ community, experiences in their home countries, and then being able to learn kind of the history of the LGBTQ community here in the US as well. I think it's been a really important growing opportunity for all of us.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that too. And it looks like we do have a question in the chat. Thank you, Cameron from Chicago. And you were very welcome. And so the question for Nick and Katie are, what are some of the priorities for your organization over the next few years?
Yeah, I can take this one. So, I feel like the last few years, given how small the club was, and the community is also fairly small on campus, directly in the LGBTQ plus community. We were kind of really focusing on bringing in more allies and just trying to integrate our cohorts together and bring that together. But now going forward, especially after the leadership summit that we had with Ramba back in the spring, we got a lot of great ideas from other schools, literally spanning from California to New Hampshire and things like that, that were surrounded around recruitment. And so that's really what I think we're focusing on these next few years, and even this year, which we've seen some really big steps towards, in trying to bring, not only grow the ally community, since that's a big chunk of what's here at Notre Dame, but to really grow the LGBTQ plus community. I think we've kind of made steps in that with the first year cohort that's here right now, but we're hoping to keep that growing. And so we've had a few different diversity info sessions. Obviously this club feature is also fantastic, so shout out to the admissions team for this. But really trying to show that it really is an inclusive spot, and that I know with it being a Catholic school, it can be a little bit intimidating. And, I was intimidated when I first came in as well. But, I feel like what our graduate business programs also really focus on is Catholic with a little c, is what they talk about in our ethics classes, and how that's really surrounding around inclusivity and community. It's not necessarily, the true, Catholic religious identity, which that is also a huge part, but it's also Catholic with a little c, where we really just embrace inclusivity. So I think that's a huge thing that we want to really promote going forward.
Wonderful, thank you. And Katie, did you want to answer that as well?
I might have came from a more MBA perspective. I want to keep growing the money. I want there to be no limit when the next leadership comes through. I want there not to be a limit on what they could do, dream of, collaborate, whatever. I want to make sure that I leave work or just funding for these incoming students to make sure that their dreams are made true. If they want to do something, that they have that available. Because I think last year we were pretty scrappy and trying to get what we wanted to have accomplished. And so my goals are to make sure that we have the funding to make sure that this keeps going. And that's not the limit. It's the enthusiasm that what we need to keep garnering.
Yes, I just feel like we got the chills there. Yeah, let's make that happen. We also have another question from Viren. Viren, thank you so much for being online with us today. He wants to know, can you please talk about some of the resources that that an ally can use to educate himself? Also how a new ally club members integrate into the club and how they evolve over the 2 years of the MBA program. And so let's start with Katie. Yeah.
So last year, I know we said we talked a lot about education, but this year we also still incorporate it. It's just not like the pillar of the meeting. So there is always an educational component to our meeting. So where we are learning about some part of an identity, how to be an ally. The last meeting we had was talking about the intersectionality between the LGBTQ community and Latinx, since it was Latinx month. So a way to identify what's going on in that community and be aware of the history of the conflicts between them or within them, excuse me. And then also we had National Coming Out Day. And so Nick gave a great presentation on what to do if someone comes out to you, what's the proper way to handle the situation, can you be a supportive ally? So that was a great educational piece he added in there for our allies, but different aspects like that are throughout. And two, the biggest part of allyship, I think, and Christopher, Nick, correct me if I'm wrong, but is showing up. Come to our meetings. Make sure you come when you're handing out buttons that say ally and put it on your backpack. Like just that visible presence means so much. Having she, her, or whatever your pronouns are on a Zoom call is something that step forwards. We even have little stickers now you can add to your name tags if that really is helpful to you. So we're really just trying to make sure that that's something available to the community and is a visible presence. So we just got to get you into Notre Dame, and we'll be there to make sure that you're a helpful ally and in the group.
Great questions. Good. So I know we only have like about 9 minutes left. And so one of the questions that I have for each of you, there's two separate questions. The first one is, what would you like the audience to know, just generally about your experience, about the program, about the organization? What do you think would be important for them? Primarily, the assumption is that people who are online with us are considering Notre Dame. They may not have applied yet, or those who have already started an application or who have already applied. And so cast your mind back to a time when you were in their shoes. What would you have wanted to know about Mendoza and the graduate programs here?
Yeah, I think, and when I was back in, those shoes as well, I think being, just reassured that everything will be okay and that it's a very inclusive and tight-knit community. So don't be afraid, of what you might want to talk about in your essays, or be yourself in your application. Again, I just can't emphasize, I knew the alumni network was really strong, and that's what you always hear about, I think, with Notre Dame, but I don't think you realize just how strong, and like Katie said, it's really a family. It is until you're in it. And I mean, I've had literally my closest friends here, and I'm actually rooming with one of them now, but she's modeled away in Chile. So that's actually been really sad, but it's okay. She'll be back in January, so it's okay. But just how tight-knit the family is and how inclusive it is. So don't be afraid to be yourself, when it comes to your application, and then when you get on campus, and to really just stay by those values.
Thank you.
Maria, can I just add to that?
Yes, of course, please do.
I want to add that I think our club is very respectful of meeting people where they are in that particular moment. So we have some people in the club who are, open, as far as openly gay or whatever. We have others that are just selectively, gay, or open about being gay. And then maybe with people in the club, and maybe with people not in the club. So we realize that everybody's coming from different places, and it might be, because of your family situation, religious situations, maybe what country you live in, things like that. And so we want you to feel comfortable wherever you are, and we're going to respect kind of where you are in that hierarchy as far as how open you are here as well.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Meeting people where they're at. It's so important.
I think if I put myself back in my shoes when applying to, on a broader sense, no school that you're looking at is going to be perfect. There's always going to be one thing, but what stands out is that this place called to my heart that a lot of places didn't. So there's of course going to be a lot of metrics that you have to go to, but no, at the end of the day, whatever you feel is right is what's going to be best. And then once you get here, like any other school, I think this school gives you the opportunity to really carve your own path. And with successful leadership by Christopher and the admissions team, you're able to make sure that your journey is what you want it to be. But it isn't without Christopher that Nick and I are empowered enough to do what we want to do and make sure that this club is as successful as we want it to be. But yeah, I guess that's what I'd say.
Beautiful. And shout out to Christopher for being the person who can step up. I think, when we think about the roles that we play on the administrative side, this is an additional part of his role that I know, Christopher, that you love and appreciate, but it is kind of like, taking that next step and really investing time and yourself into really supporting candidates and students along the line. So thank you so much. So that was the first part of the question. The second part is, as you think about yourself in this moment and you think about the work that you've done and that you'll continue to do in the next 6 months prior to graduation, like what is the takeaway, like the personal growth takeaway from involving yourself in a leadership role such as this throughout your MBA journey? I'm really, really curious to hear that. And Christopher, this is also a question for you as well. So not MBA journey, but like journey. Katie, you want to take this one first?
Yeah. I feel like this is a club that sticks with you longer than the career clubs. These are connections that you're making that aren't just like, did I interview properly? Like, can you help me do this? It's more on a basis of like just asking, like having a friend to be able like, hey, how was your day? And really be able to connect on a different level. But being in leadership, it helps cultivate those experiences and make sure that people know that that space is available outside of just having the regular clubs that are more career focused or task focused. Like, I'm going to be in Toastmasters so I can learn how to speak better. Like, no, I'm going to be in this club because this is my identity. This is the space I want to be a part of, and be able to connect with others who also feel this way.
Yeah, lifelong friends, and colleagues and allies throughout the way. Yeah, thank you, Katie.
Yeah, I think something that this club has like really stuck with me is, one kind of was talking about earlier with, just really be yourself. And it's really showed me that it's okay to, just express, your identity and to be who you are. Or as Christopher always says, it's okay to be gay. So it's, a very safe space. And that's been amazing to just be your own, leader and really strive to and just show your authentic self to everybody and just have them accept you for who you are. But I think our club has also done a great job at really letting you kind of take the reins on what you want to do and see happen. We don't really have a super structured like template for this or thing for that or whatever. So last year as our VP of comms, I kind of got to just take the social media as I saw it and wanted to like try to make it happen. And that was just an awesome opportunity to get to really learn, how to do anything that you really want to do, and anything you set your mind to. So we really let you have that freedom for, your expression and your creativity and things like that.
Oh, that's inspiring to me to hear. And Christopher, what would you say?
I'd say one of the things I love about Mendoza is because of our size, we are able to jump in and participate. There's a lot of opportunities here for you to jump in. And so that's really what I did when it came to the club. I just kind of saw a need. And so I jumped in and said, how can I help? And how can I help people make sure they feel a sense of inclusion, a sense of belonging while they're here on campus. And so I just encourage you as you're looking at Notre Dame and hopefully come and join us on campus that you will look for those opportunities, and seek out those opportunities where you have passion or you just want to jump in and be a resource and help others.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for your advocacy. I, in the last minute, want to thank our participants here who have joined us today across the ethers. And I also want to give a big shout out to Nick, Katie, and Christopher for leading the way here at Mendoza, at a Catholic university who is wholeheartedly the little C with the universal principles of human dignity and respect and solidarity. I also want to just express how proud I am of all of you and the larger club. This is, I am having trouble with my words because I'm getting like a little bit emotional, but I just want to express to you like how strong you are to be able to continue to forge ahead with this club and to have it grow and become more expansive. And I'm also incredibly proud of our admissions team in there, really selecting candidates who are engaged, who have an incredible leadership trajectory and potential, and who are absolutely ready to come here and contribute, right, their unique talents and strengths to the community. And this is like not only from the LGBTQ plus space, but also broadly when we think about diversity and what Katie and Nick both mentioned about intersectionality. We are seeking to recruit and curate a class that is uniquely dynamic and rich and able to really share and help to advance one another. That is what our mission is. And so I'll go back to the tender, strong, and true values that Nick mentioned. And again, as we wrap up today, thank you so much for your time. Nick, thanks for dropping the Instagram link in there. In the chat, please feel free to reach out to any of us as you have further questions, and we'll look forward to getting to know you through the process. But again, Christopher, Katie, and Nick, thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Sweet.